Hi, this is Steve Yulberg for JamPlay.com, and now we're to one of my favorite national songs for the United States, America the Beautiful. This is a song that was written, the words were written by Catherine Lee Bates after a trip to Pikes Peak in Colorado, which is south of where I live. But when I head down I-25, the highway that runs up north and south, heading toward Denver, I get to a certain place and I can see Pikes Peak. It's right at the edge of the Front Range, sitting up high down there. It's a beautiful place. Purple Mountain Majesties. And if you drive from Colorado back east on I-70, you see amber waves of grain. You can see why she used the words that she did. Probably the biggest influence on the ways this song has been taught and sung over the years has been Ray Charles. His soul way of playing the piano and slowing it all down and letting things live. And I don't think I played the chords exactly the way he played the chords, because he had all kinds of interesting things he put in there. But this is a song that, of all the songs that I've taught, is the most complicated. And it's got a couple of places where it's really confusing if you're trying to figure it out. So I'll give you some clues, because this might be something you want to look for in some other songs when you're trying to figure them out. But we're going to start with a G chord, and we know where that is. Then we're going to go to a D7 chord, but we're not going to use this shape. We're going to use the C7 shape. If you looked at America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, we use this shape there. A first finger on the B string, second finger on the E string, third finger on the low C on the A string. Drop your pinky on the open G string in the same fret that your third finger's in. Now slide the whole thing up 2 frets and just play what you're touching with your left hand. It's another way to get a nice rich 7 chord shape. And if you, for future reference, this is D sharp or E flat E. There's a good E7 chord. You can play everything, and you can continue that shape on up as long as you only touch the things that strum the things with your right hand that you're touching with your left. You're going to get the shape of the chord or the sound of the chord that you want. Okay, so here's D7. That's the one I'm going to use. So right now, let's take a look, because there's so many chords. Let's take a look at the board. I've written them out here. The song's in 4/4 time. Again, I give the name of the chord as 1 time we strum, and then the little hyphens would be the other beats in the measure. And I'm going to use, for both of these D7s, here's the shape as it's drawn out. I'm going to use that shape for those places. You could use it here, or you could just use the standard D7 that you learned already. The beauty of different voicings of the chord, which is what we're talking about now, is a regular D7 is going to sound just fine right here, and a regular D7 will sound there. This could be regular, and this could be the variation, or vice versa. It's up to you to put them in. You're probably more comfortable with one than the other, and when you have a short time, like right here to play that one, that would be when I'd use that. Here's when I'd use the new one, because there's a lot of time to play it. Let's just play the chords for that first measure. G, 3, 4, now the new D7, 2, 3, 4, D7 again, and then G, D7. You can hear that tension. It's getting ready to go back to, you're right, G. So that's the second line. Let's take a look at the second line. The first line doesn't have that much challenge in it. The second line, we got chords changing every measure, but where's an E in here? Let's go back to our handy-dandy chord finder here. We got G as our 1 chord, C is our 4 chord, and D is our 5 chord. There's no place for an E. I told you that usually over here, this 6 chord is going to be a minor. G, C, D, and that would be an E minor normally. Now what we've got here is something that was part of the way that songs and tunes were being written by the time that this melody came around from Samuel Ward. We have some surprises to keep it interesting. And instead of being a minor E, it's a major E, which now takes us to some other surprising places. We go from E to B7, back to E7, A7, D7. Now this is called almost a circle of fifths, or a 5 of 5 of 5. If you're a theory person, you know what that means. If you're not, you're going, huh, huh, huh. But here's the thing, let me demonstrate what happens here. We're in the key of G, but we ended up here. We play E, we play B7, which is the 5th chord of the the key of E, E, A, B. So we're playing E, B, back to E. you're in the key of A, D, E is the fifth of the key of A, and then we go from there to the A chord, which is the fifth of the key of D, G, A. So that's why we're walking through fives, and it takes us, it just moves us all over the place and brings us back home, leaves us on our doorstep. So here I am in G, I go to D7, now I'm going to go to the surprise, E, B7, and E7, A7, D7. Now I'm back ready for another G. So there's two different ways to start on G and end on G. This one has a little more scenery. We took the scenic route when you do that. And it's the part of the song that when I was trying to figure it out and play this, when I'd play this in my gigs, I was doing it by ear and I was getting confused. Where is that? There's some notes in there I just don't have. And I was... knowing that there was the 5 of 5 thing possible made me go, oh, let me try that. So now that you've heard it and had me describe it, you might catch it quicker than I did. It took me a long time for that to make sense. But that circle of fifths thing happens in a lot of different songs, and it's like being in one of those amusement park rides where you're going up and up and up, but once the thing starts going down and you're going to hit the water down there's no stopping now. You're going to hit the water. If you just follow those fives all the way around, you're going to end up down at the bottom, and you're going to have some fun while you're doing it and probably get wet and cooled off at the same time. So let's play the second line again. G, 2, 3, 4, D7, 2, 3, 4, E, B7, E7, A7, D7. Now we're back to the third line, and here we've got the D suspended chord, suspended fourth. We talked about this in the earlier lessons when we did the whole family of D. And but what's interesting here, you can see we play regular G, then we play the suspension and go back to D. So we move one finger and change the sound from here to here. We move one finger and change the sound. And here I'm going to do the regular D7 because I'm going to be able to feel it all. The shift is happening right here. So it's going to be regular G, then D suspended 4, which is where I use a regular D shape and put my pinky down next to it, lift it up for the D, and then go to the D7. Just listen to that. There's something moving each time. It's got some real fun interior movement just in the voicings of the chord. Now let me start on G and do it. G, D suspension, D, and D7, and that gets us back to G. And then we go to G7, because that's going to take us to C, which is the fourth line.